So hello and welcome back to the Big Lad podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, I am sat in the boot of my car. I couldn't bother going all the way to Liverpool to record this. I thought it's a nice day. I'll do it sat in the back of my car in the sun. This is season 2, episode 5, and as you will have also noticed, this is my first solo podcast. Never done one. I mean, I've done plenty of YouTube videos, but I've never just sort of sat and chatted wham. So yeah, hopefully this one goes well. If you are new, obviously, drop it a like if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe. If you're watching on Spotify or Apple, feel free to drop a review after you've listened. Basically, we're going to try and split this up into 2 sections. I'm going to give you a bit of an update on what I've been doing recently, and then I've put a couple of polls up recently on a couple of question boxes on Instagram to ask some questions essentially, so we'll go through them as well. Hopefully it's not going to be too long, we'll see. But yeah, first of all, I'm now 2 months into my new job as being a project accountant, which is going really well. I needed that change from work. I was getting a bit bored. I said I was going to wait for the Christmas bonus that came in because it was going to be decent. That came in, and then for whatever reason it got all the way to April, and I was like, why am I still in this job that I'm not enjoying? It's quite easy to get caught up in a rut and the same routine and to just not do anything about it. So it got to April, I applied for 2 jobs, got them both. I've kind of moved internally. It's kind of a separate company, but under the same company umbrella. However, I have been treated as a new starter, so I lost my 8 years service nearly, unfortunately. But we can't stick around the jobs just for the sake of years service and holidays and things like that. The new responsibility that I have got is a lot more than I was having, and I've had a decent little pay rise from it, which I believed I deserved anyway in my last job, but was never going to get it. So I took the choice to move on, which sometimes we've got to do. The only thing is, I am enjoying the extra responsibility, but every other project accountant that I speak to seems to only be working on 1, maybe 2 projects, whereas I'm currently on 3 projects, and they are really big. But they will be really good to have on my CV, especially if they go well. So yeah, enjoying my new job. If you've been following me on Instagram as well, you'll know that a couple of weeks ago I finished my cut. It's the first one I've ever really sort of done. I've never done one in the past because I've just sort of been, well, a couple of years ago I was just sort of making content for Instagram, trying to mix it up all the time. Oh, by the way, I am obviously on a country road, so every now and again you may hear cars in the background. I have got this set so it only takes in the audio from this side, but we'll see. Yeah, so I used to just make content for Instagram, and I never really gave myself a workout plan. I just sort of turned up to the gym. Depending on how tired I was, I would basically make a workout plan from that each time. Like, I had my set split, but say if my chest was feeling a bit achy, I'd maybe not do bench and maybe go for some more sort of isolation movements, things like cable flies, press ups, things like that, instead of heavy lifts. Or if I was feeling good, I'd go for the heavier stuff, and I'd get like a nice mix for Instagram, and it worked for Instagram for a while, and it worked for me for quite a while. And then sort of obviously everything got a bit disjointed with all the lockdowns, and yeah, it got to a point where I decided, it was about a year ago now, I thought I'm going to get myself on a proper workout plan, which I did include. Obviously I had all my knee rehab last year, which is still probably going to be ongoing for the rest of my life, which isn't a bad thing because my legs are probably the strongest they've been for a very long time. But yeah, it got to the point where I was tracking from around May last year my calories just to make sure I was hitting protein targets, but then I decided, well, basically I didn't let myself go. I was just obviously less active during the lockdowns and stuff, so I put on a bit of weight. Not a lot, but I was the heaviest I've ever been. I got the highest I think I saw was 235 pounds. Got down a little bit from there, and then I think it was the end of April that I started my cut. I started at 229 pounds. I was still eating the foods I enjoyed. I was still drinking most weekends. And the lowest I saw was low 216s. So dropped 13 pounds, and then towards the back of it we got that really hot weather. Held a little bit more water naturally just because of the hot weather, and I think I had a couple of nights out which put me back up to 220. And then obviously the latest of my training, I have now entered my first ever triathlon. If you watch my YouTube video or follow me on Instagram, I am doing a sprint triathlon. Easing myself in to begin with. It's going to be a 500 metre swim, a 21k bike and a 5k run. So I've just finished week 2 of training. I literally gave myself 8 weeks to train for this, which isn't a long time considering I haven't done much swimming or run, well, any of them really. I'm quite comfortable on a bike. I can get away with I can do a run. Swimming, I've actually just came from the swimming baths now. I've just done 50 lengths, which went all right, but I think swimming's definitely the one I need to work hardest on. I'm naturally quite good on a bike, just due to my background playing football, rowing and things like that, and obviously running. Never been a strong point. It maybe was when I was a kid, probably about 5 stone ago, but yeah, I'm actually enjoying the running. It's going quite well so far, so hopefully we can keep that up. Yeah, so that's kind of where my training's up to. I've put my calories up a lot. I'm currently at 3,200 and I'm still currently losing weight. I've been sort of maintaining around the 220 mark since I finished my cut, and now today I was like 218, so there's a chance I may have to put my calories up again because I don't really want to be going too much into a deficit with this. I wouldn't mind maybe dropping a couple of pounds just to make it a little bit easier on the running and things like that, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep my calories the same again for the next at least a week, but we'll see how it goes. The reason why I'm doing it is I've been in sort of a yes to everything since all the lockdowns finished, and I was just getting a little bit bored of it. So I mean, like I said in my YouTube video, I've still enjoyed myself going out, but it was very repetitive. I was working Monday to Friday, and then it was getting to the weekend, and it was just, should we go to the pub? And yeah, I guess I just got maybe a little bit bored of that same routine each week. So I gave myself something to actually train towards, because I've took a back seat on the football just because of my knee. I'm now assistant manager for our football team, which is a bit mad saying it, only 26 on Saturday League footy. But yeah, it's one of those things. I still get involved every now and again if I'm needed as like an emergency sub in case loads of people get injured or people are just too tired. But yeah, I gave myself something to go towards. I think a mate that did an Ironman about a month ago was going to join me on it, which will be good. And he's also entered the half Ironman in Marbella next year. So I mean, we'll see how this one goes. I'll probably then do a normal triathlon, which would be sort of double the distances that I'm doing, which shouldn't be too bad. But then, yeah, we'll see how things go. I've said to the lad that's doing it, I said if things go well and my knee's okay and stuff, I may consider entering. But you know, it's a while off yet, so we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's where I'm sort of up to. I'm trying to get back on the YouTube side of things as well. Obviously I've got my online coaching outside of work. YouTube for me, like I enjoy filming the YouTube videos. It's the editing side of things that takes some time with me, because I mean, I could probably do with watching a few YouTube videos in general just to how to edit properly on Final Cut Pro. I'm pretty basic on it at the moment. So yeah, it'd be good to maybe learn how to do that properly, especially with things like colour grading and things like that. But yeah, I would like to get back on the YouTube side of things. I've got a load of content ready for Instagram. I've just been a bit lazy on the editing side of things. Been busy with work, starting my new job and everything, but now that that's sort of settling into a routine, I can maybe make some time to get a YouTube video up maybe once or twice a week. I'm definitely going to try and get some triathlon content out there, maybe just show everyone what it's like, sort of a day of work and training, how I put it all together. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. I think it'll be a good time to get on the questions, so I'm just going to get on my phone. Right. First one. Do you feel the pressure to have your life figured out, career, house and relationships, etc.? No. I mean, I guess the pressure's there society-wise, maybe, that you've got to have things done by certain dates. You've got to have moved out by a certain age. You've got to be married, this, that, and the other. And I don't think I've ever felt pressured by it. But in terms of me, I don't tend to get too bothered by other people's opinions very often, and things like that I'll just take in my own time and do them when I feel like I'm ready to do them. So yeah, bit of a short answer, but yeah, just do you. There's no point in sticking to other people's timelines, because it may work for them but it might not work for you. Let's have a look at another one. How to deal with gym intimidation. This isn't actually something that I've ever really came across. I know obviously other people it's very different, but for me, I've been going to the gym now for 11 years, since I was literally like 15 years old, and I never really felt it, but obviously it does affect other people. I think what you've got to do is find out what triggers your sort of gym intimidation and find ways to come over them. There's loads of little tips that I give my clients, things like going with a friend, putting your own music on your headphones, just zoning out. Quite often people find it intimidating that people are looking at them, when quite often people are just looking around the gym in general, something to do between the sets. I find myself doing it quite often, and just sort of zoning out and just looking around, sometimes just seeing what other people are doing, because some other people may be doing different exercises that you've not done. Sometimes just seeing how other people do exercises form-wise, different types of exercises. Sometimes it can be good to have a little look around and see what other people are doing and getting some tips. Even me at 11 years in the gym, I'm not form-wise, I like to think I'm quite good form-wise, but obviously I'm not perfect. So sometimes just having a little wander, saying, oh, let's see how this person does that exercise. Obviously don't be staring at them like intently, but things like that, even sometimes going over and just asking someone, oh, can you sort of help me out with this exercise, I'm struggling. But yeah, the gym I think a lot of people find it intimidating when it's not really. It's quite I'd say reasonably relaxed environment from what the gyms that I've been in. So yeah, quite a lot of people are friendly in there. They're everyday people, and people are at different parts of the so-called journey. There's going to be day 1 people in there, there's going to be day 1,000. There's no point in comparing yourself to other people, because everyone's at a different stage. Right, what are your hobbies apart from fitness and football? So, what other hobbies? Well, if you follow me on Instagram, I go to the cinema quite a lot now. Me and my mates all got the Odeon Limitless, and it's just a good thing to do instead of sometimes going to the pub, or just in the midweek, when you don't really feel like doing anything, but you fancy chilling out for 2 hours, get away from your phone and just sit and watch a film. We found when we were going to the cinema to watch the films that we wanted to pay for, we'd sit through the adverts beforehand and we'd be like, oh, we'll go watch that, and then never go to watch it because we wouldn't actually pay the money to go watch it. But now that we're only paying like £15 a month, we only have to go twice a month to make it worth it. So we see a lot more films that we may not have paid for originally, and it's quite good. What else do I do? Obviously my Instagram, YouTube, podcast, all that stuff. So I guess you call that a hobby. Yeah, I don't think I have any other hobbies. I don't tend to watch much TV in general when I'm at home. I watch a little bit of YouTube, but yeah, I'm quite busy. Work, gym, football. I don't really have time for any more hobbies. How much do you reckon you've spent on meal deals? So with the football lads, I am notorious for getting a meal deal before we play on a Saturday. Always get meal deals. They're just so convenient. I genuinely think they're one of the best inventions ever made. £3.50 and you get a meal, a drink and a snack. And yeah, I've probably spent a lot. At one point, I reckon I was getting at least 2, maybe 3 meal deals a day. I'm not a day, sorry, a week. I must have been spending a fortune at one point. So yeah, I reeled it back a little bit, but you cannot beat a meal deal. This is a good question. What do you think of calories being put on menus? Obviously, there's people that find it a bit intimidating because of eating disorders and things like that. But then, I think there's pros and cons to it, obviously. For me, I think it's a reasonably good thing because people will start to realise the calories that are in the meals they're eating. Because people will sometimes go out and they'll get something like a Caesar salad. Caesar salads are so high in calories, they could be quite close to getting like a beef burger and chips, just because of the dressings and things like that, depending on what they've put on it and all the cheese and everything. And I think it'll make people realise that they can go out and have the foods that they would normally have and not feel as guilty about it, because there are things that are on these menus that you would maybe perceive to be healthy, which, well, I say healthy, lower in calories when they actually, in actual fact, aren't. Yeah, I think, obviously, there's the people, I've not personally had an eating disorder, so I can't really comment on it from that side of things, but I can see how that may affect those people. But I think as a whole, with the whole issue with the sort of obesity crisis, especially in the UK, I think it is potentially quite a good thing, because people will start to realise how many calories they are actually consuming. So yeah, as a whole, I would probably say it was a good thing. Obviously, to any decision that's going to be made, there's going to be pros and cons, but I would say it sort of leans to the positive side of things. What motivates me? That I don't think we can solely rely on motivation for anything. I think it's discipline and just dedication to going towards these goals that you set yourself. So I set myself a lot of goals every year. In my notes, I've got goals that I set out to do each year, and then I tend to break them down sort of month by month, things like that. But yeah, I don't sort of get motivation from anywhere. I think it comes from more within. I don't think you can look externally too much. But yeah, there's a quote by Michael McConaughey, and I'm probably going to butcher it, to be quite honest. But he says about who his hero is, and he says that his hero is him 10 years from now. And then he gets to that point in 10 years, and the person who asked him who his hero was turns around and says, "Oh, so are you your hero yet?" And he says, "No, my hero's 10 years ahead of me again." So he's constantly striving for this person that's him in the future 10 years away, but as he's moving towards that hero is also moving still 10 years away. So he'll never be his hero, and he says he's completely fine with that. And I relate with that quite a bit. I don't think you can sort of aim to be anyone else other than yourself, like the best version of yourself. That sounds really cringy, and I don't like it, but you get the gist. Most embarrassing moment in the gym. I can't really say I've had one. I've never really dropped the weight or anything like that. There must be something. No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, actually. I'm not too sure. I'd have to have a longer think about that one. What's your 5 plan? I assume that's 5-year plan. 5-year plan. I'm very much a person that sort of, as I said before, I set goals for myself over a year, but I don't have a necessarily 5-year plan. I think that's too long, because too many things can change in that time. I sort of the furthest I'll deal with is a yearly basis, and then even then I break that down into smaller chunks, manageable chunks. There's no point in looking at a big long-term goal for me. It's all about splitting it up week by week, month by month, and then that turns into a yearly plan. So I've never actually, I used to get it a lot because I work obviously a corporate job, You get the whole, what's your sort of 5-year plan, and I just go, I don't have one, and you get like a really blunt look back. But I sort of live a lot more in the present. As I say, a lot of things can change in that period of time. How do you maintain motivation with so many setbacks? It's a bit of a kick in the teeth. That will be in terms of my knee injury that I have, and many muscle pulls and things like that playing football. Basically, like when I was rowing, I never really had a single injury. I trained sort of 9 times a week for 2 or 3 years straight and never really missed a session other than holidays. I then went back to playing football, and I was getting injured left, right and centre with things like tackles or pulled muscles, and then obviously I did my knee. I'm quite, people will listen to this and probably say I'm lying, but I'm quite a positive person. What happens, you've just got to deal with it. There's no point in dwelling on it. Obviously I've torn my ACL in my knee, I've got a whole load of other problems, but I just don't let it get me down, because there's worse things that are going on around you that could happen in the world, and a torn ACL isn't the end of the world. I've still managed to do all my training. I'm doing leg workouts, I can get myself to the gym, I'm still able to play football reasonably. So yeah, I just don't think there's like a lot of people dwell on stuff. I'm sort of a get back on the horse and get going. Make the most of a bad situation. I think it's a bit of a character build at the end of the day. Long-term injuries, you've just got to get your head down and get yourself back on track. And I guess it's an opportunity to learn as well how to deal with these situations. And then the more, well, you don't want them to happen more, but the more they do happen, the less it affects you. Like, it is annoying, don't get me wrong, but it's just one of those things, you can't dwell on it. Do you feel intimidated when you see a female lifting heavier than you? I mean, I don't think I ever have seen. I'm going to sound big-headed, but I've spent a lot of time in commercial gyms, no bodybuilder gyms and stuff like that. So it's sort of general population that I see in these gyms. And yeah, even if they were lifting heavier than me, then fair enough. Like, fill your boots. Like, I go there to get my training done. Someone might be on a completely different training plan, completely different goal. If they're lifting heavy, fair play to them, go for it. But I mean, there's fellas in the gym that'll lift way heavier than me with usually crap form, especially in commercial gyms. I'm a lot more form overweight. I'd rather lift a smaller weight, slower, more controlled, than pumping out a heavy weight badly. But yeah, I don't think I'd really feel that intimidated if a female was lifting heavier than me, to be honest. I'm not that fussed. If I was asked, I'd go and be a power lifter, but that's not what I'm about. So, protein powder types and what you should consider when buying. Obviously, I'm a bit more biased towards my protein just because I'm sponsored by them. But before I was even sponsored by them, I was using my protein for years before that. So I have the Impact Whey Isolate. It is slightly more expensive than the standard whey, but I find it mixes a lot better. It's a lot smoother, and it's a higher quality of protein. And I found out actually that if you are having problems like your gut and things like that, digesting protein, apparently it's a lot easier on it. So I have that on my cereal pretty much every day. It's a really good way of getting protein in first thing in the morning. And then in the evenings, I tend to have the clear whey from my protein. There's loads of really good flavours, and it's literally like drinking cordial. Really nice stuff. And yeah, that's all I really stick to be honest. If you want some discount, use GWFit at checkout. I will put my link, my commission link, in the bios. Let's have a look. I've got another couple more. What inspired you to do a sprint triathlon? So, about 4 years or so ago, me and the lad that actually did the Ironman, we used to do a thing called Triathlon Sundays because we were going to go and do one. I don't know how we were going to do it because none of us had bikes. and we'd basically go to the gym, we'd do a bike, then a run, and then go to the swim baths. It was at a different place, so that's why we did it in a slightly different order. Yeah, we used to do that pretty much every Sunday. That we didn't go out on a Saturday. But yeah, so we used to do that, and I'd always wanted to do one, but at the time I was playing football, and as I say, I was getting like little injuries, so that was putting me out of training and things like that. And then it got to lockdown, and I was going to get a road bike then, but trying to get a road bike during those lockdowns was ridiculous. Like, you could not get one for months and months on end, just because of the demand. And my dad actually bought a Peloton, so we got a Peloton in the house, so I just put it on hold, and then started looking again before I moved jobs. And then obviously I got offered my new job, and I thought, well, if I'm going to get it now on the cycle to work scheme, that'll mean that if I move jobs, it'll come straight out of my last pay packet all in one go, instead of me splitting it across the monthly payments. So I waited to get my new job, got it, got my new bike, went to see my mate do his Ironman, and I thought, well, now that I'm not sort of playing football, why not go for a sprint triathlon? Let's give it a go. So yeah, I don't, like I say, I've always wanted to do one, so I thought I'd give myself something to train for. I'd been out, I think, the night before, and I just thought, I'm going to just sign up for it, get it done. Bought all the stuff, and now I'm 2 weeks into training and really enjoying it. So yeah, I think gave me a little kick watching my mate do the Ironman, thinking if he can do that, then I can definitely do a sprint triathlon. So I guess that's my reasoning, really. So the next one is tracking around social events. So this is something that I actually do a lot with my clients as well, because I like them to live a life where they can still have that balance of going out and eating the foods and drinking whatever they want. Well, not whatever they want, but within reason, and still seeing results. So what I do quite a lot is calorie banking. So if you know that you're going to be going out on a Friday or Saturday, you cut your calories by 100 to 200 calories a day for the rest of the week, and sort of bank those calories so you can have them on the weekend. So you're still in that calorie deficit, you've still hit your average calories throughout the week, but you've also gone out and had a good time and not had to sort of sacrifice too much. Really simple way of doing it. So yeah, if you know you're going out, just do that. If a night out comes out of nowhere, then sort of obviously take the hit on that night, but then drop them the next couple for the next week, and it'll do the same effect. One night out isn't going to ruin it, your progress as well. But if you're doing it consistently, that's when you're going to have a bit of an issue. What's the difference between binging/restricting and bulking and cutting? I think the difference between the two is the control element of it. If you're binging a load of crap food, things like if you're just constantly eating McDonald's, fast food, this, that and the other, that it would be classed as a binge for me. Whereas a bulk is a controlled process of being in a calorie surplus. You're still eating good nutritious foods whilst controlling the amount of calories you're having, so you're not massively going into a surplus. You're not like 1,000 calories over a day, you're a couple of hundred in that bulk. The same then with restricting and cutting. Cutting, it's the control element. So restricting, you'd be on way less calories than you should be to actually function, whereas a controlled cut would be, again, maybe 100, 200 calories below your maintenance. So having that control, hitting your protein target, getting that good nutritious food in that's going to be able to actually fuel your sessions. So yeah, I think the main element is control and the quality of food that you'd actually be eating. Opinion on fasting for health rather than weight loss. So I don't know, I haven't really looked too much into it. I would never do it personally because I need that food in the morning to get me going. Obviously I'm quite a big lad and need a lot of food, so if I was to skip breakfast, I'm going to have to eat a lot of food during the afternoon and evening, which, I mean, obviously I could do, but it's not going to probably be so good on my digestive system, and also splitting that protein out throughout the day. But Yeah, I don't think there's going to be that many benefits. You're literally just putting your meals later in the day. You're still going to be eating the same calories. Surely it can't have these mad health benefits that it sort of claims to have. I mean, it's a great tool for weight loss to say, like, if that's going to make it easier skipping breakfast to put you in a calorie deficit, then by all means go for it if it works for you. But in terms of health benefits, for me, I can't see there being any. How are you feeling for your try? Well, that's triathlon, by the way. Feeling reasonably good. I feel like I've got to maybe do an extra swim a week. I'm only doing one at the moment. I will be breaking down my full training plan. I did it briefly in my last YouTube video, so I'll put a link for that below. But I'm going to be going into it a lot more depth, sort of my actual workouts and things like that. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. The running is going a lot better than I expected. The bike, I was already pretty confident with the bike. I actually got a puncture yesterday. I had a nightmare. Literally 4k from home. It was going really well. But yeah. Car just gone past. Yeah, feeling pretty good. Like I say, get an extra swim in a week and I think I'll be pretty comfortable. What time are you aiming for? I set myself time before I even started training. I set myself times that I was aiming for. I'm going to reveal them in a YouTube video. I'm going to write them all down, what I plan to do. Write them all down and we will compare them once I've done the triathlon. So I'm not going to give them away just yet. Would you rather be a cat or live in a house with 100 cats? I'm not going to lie, I'm not really a cat person at all. And the thought of living with 100 cats would be absolutely vile. So I think I'd rather be a cat, I guess, even though I don't like them. But it's better than living with 100 of them. Best tips for building and maintaining a regular gym habit. So, for me, habit stacking is a really good tool. So quite a lot of people get overwhelmed when they join the gym. They do far too much too soon and put too big of an expectation on themselves. So all of a sudden they start, like, they've gone from nothing to then trying to go to the gym 5 times a week, doing cardio 3 times a week. It's far too much all in one go. You're just going to overwhelm yourself. You're going to be absolutely shattered. You're going to have the worst DOMs of your life if you've not been doing anything before that. So yeah, I think you've got to build yourself up into it. You've got to set yourself realistic expectations. You've got to give yourself that rest time as well, especially if you've been out the gym for a while. Maybe go start the gym maybe 2-3 times a week, split it out nicely throughout the week, and slowly build the volume up over time. You don't want to be going in doing 4 sets of whatever on 6 exercises. That's going to be far too much too soon. You're going to create too much of a demand on your body. You're going to be aching. You're going to be absolutely shattered. So yeah, like I say, habit stacking as well. Get yourself into that routine. Lay your gym kit out the night before if you're going to be going in the morning, or prep it in your bag for after work. Then make sure you just get into that routine of, right, I'm going to be going to the gym at this time. Set yourself a time. What I do every week, I set my schedule out in my calendar every single week. What I'm going to be doing, what time it's going to be happening, and it just gives yourself that bit of accountability to get it done. Otherwise, if you just leave it down to each day, you get sidetracked with all sorts of crap that comes up. So yeah, planning, easing yourself into things. If you're new to the gym and don't really know how to start, get yourself a coach, get yourself a PT. There's plenty of them out there. If you want to join my coaching, get on it. Drop me a DM and I can help you out with that plan to get you into the gym and get it into a long sustainable plan so that you're there for a while, instead of starting and you go for a couple of weeks and then you fall straight back out because you're just finding it too hard. Right, last question. Thoughts on the entrepreneur bullshit that's going around IG at the moment, 24/7 grind, etc. Yes, there is a very sort of toxic sort of trait going around Instagram at the moment, that you've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, be up before everyone else, get your stuff done, start working, start the grind, non-stop work. You can't be going out and doing whatever you want to do. You've got to work, like work in your 20s so you can retire in your 40s and all that shit. I don't agree with it personally. I think there's too much. I've got another car past. I've got a very strange look then. I mean, I guess I am sat in the boot of my car with a microphone and a camera filming a podcast. But yeah, like I say, it is a very toxic trait going on at the moment, that you've got to constantly be working on things, and I think it's all about balance. With anything in life, like with going out and drinking, with working out in the gym, with like work in general, you've got to have that balance. If you go too far up the scale on one thing, then everything else is going to be suffering. So if you're constantly going out like every night of the week or drinking every night of the week, things like the gym and your work are going to suffer for that. If you're constantly working, then your social life is then also going to suffer for that. It's all about finding that balance, and I think, like the question says, that whole entrepreneur 24/7 grind, I just don't think it's healthy at all. Obviously it may work for getting a business up and running and getting it to grow as quickly as possible, but I don't think that's necessarily the most important thing in life to be going for. And I don't think everyone on the planet can all of a sudden be an entrepreneur. There's the whole thing about you don't get rich working for someone else, and the only way you get rich is having people work for you and all that. But how is the whole planet going to all of a sudden turn into business owners? Someone at some stage has got to be working for someone. Obviously the people that are at the top are going to earn the most money. It's just the way it works, but everyone can't be a business owner. I mean, fair enough, go for it. If that's the genuine thing that you want to do, owning your own business, go for it. But at the same time, have that work-life balance, because other things are going to suffer for it. Unless that's what you want to do in the short run and you're thinking long term that it's going to sort of taper down. But quite often you find these people that are so wound up about work do not stop. Don't get me wrong, they earn ridiculous amounts of money, some of them, not all. Obviously, for every business, every successful business that you see, there are thousands of businesses that fail before that. And I'm not saying that you can't go and be successful. Of course you can. But yeah, just weigh up whether you are willing to sacrifice that a period of your life to potentially retire early. But quite often what you find is these people just want more and more and more. They don't just stop at 40, they don't retire, they carry on, they find the next thing that they can get that little dopamine kick out of. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Like, I would love personally to own my own business. Like, I've got my side hustle of online coaching. Maybe I could take that full time in the future, who knows. I've got other business ideas that I want to sort of dive into. I'm not going to go too much into them. You may have seen a couple of stories like a couple of weeks back that may have given you hints and tips about what I'm potentially looking at doing. But yeah, we will see. I'm going to wrap this one up here. I think it's been reasonably good, especially for my first solo podcast. If you've enjoyed it, please drop a review on, if you're watching it on listening on Apple or Spotify, please drop it a review. It all helps. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and just drop a little comment what you want to see next potentially. Would you like to see more solo podcast? Maybe put some guests in the comments, or what your favourite bit about this podcast was. Just let me know in the comments, because it's all going to help me for future ones to make them even better. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I will catch you in the next one.